Hey, it's Brock here from Rock Hill Farms, and today we're going to dig out a bunch of tree stumps with this new and improved Artillian Stump Bucket. This is actually the third stump bucket that they've released. The original version I've had for well over a year, and I've done a bunch of videos digging out stumps and using it as a trenching bucket. Then they came out with the Generation 2. The improvement there was adding serrated cutting edges to each side and making the front cutting edge replaceable. And I thought that was a big upgrade. But now they've taken it a step further by giving us a longer bucket. This is a 16-inch long bucket. This is a 24-inch long bucket. And personally, I think for a compact tractor like this, 24 is the perfect length. A 3-foot long stump bucket, for instance, is going to be unmanageable, and you're going to have too much leverage out that far for the size of your loader. So I think this is a perfect size, and I love the improvements they've made. Not only is this front cutting edge replaceable, but they have a variety of different blades that you can put on it. This is the standard blade. They have a flat blade that's more for trenching or back dragging. They've got HD blades and like heavy duty, and then they've got like a ripping tooth that you can put on the front. So it gives you options and versatility, which is my favorite word around here. I call this a stump bucket because that's what most people call it. Artillian calls it a front hoe. And the reason for that name is it's kind of a replacement for a backhoe for 10% of the cost. Now, it can't fully replace a tractor backhoe because you don't have that long reach and the ability to dig deeper in a single scoop. But if you need a trench the length of your bucket, this is a really convenient way to dig it. But that's about enough of me talking. Let's go dig some stumps. Most of all the stumps on my property have already been taken out. I could have ripped up some saplings with this bucket, but it's not really a good test of what it's capable of. So I'm gonna go visit a friend who just happens to have a bunch of stumps that need taken out. I've actually done quite a few videos at this property, including brush hogging quite a bit with the 801 Power Master that you see in the background. I love those old Ford tractors for some reason. This is an example of the stump that we're going to remove today. From a distance, this looks tiny, right? But it's actually 6 or 7 inch diameter. So if you picture the tree that this was, it's probably got a pretty good root system. There's a whole bunch of them in this area that are probably similar to the trees behind me. Like this actually looks bigger than those. And this is about the size of stump that bucket's made for. So let's see how it does. The first few minutes of digging this first stump out, I didn't have my main camera on, so we've only got this view from right above the bucket. I'll tell you, I was shocked that the root system on this stump is dramatically bigger than I expected it to be. I've only stuck this in the ground twice so far, but snap that root off pretty easy. That's another big size one there. For me, the biggest learning curve to using one of these stump buckets is the fact that you can't really see the end of the bucket. So it's just a matter of getting a feel for the distance and using the amount of resistance to gauge the progress you're making. The fact that you're able to put the entire downforce of the loader into an area 8 inches wide really gives you a lot of torque to snap these roots off easily. All of the dirt that I dig up from these stumps, I carried over and dumped in the same spot where there was a little mound of dirt. I thought that would be the easiest way to spread it back out when I was done, but come to find out there's a gigantic rock under that's going to cause me problems later. This first stump took me about 20 minutes, so I'm going to speed the footage up on it a little bit so we can get on to the next one. So I'm just going around the stump and digging a circle, maybe 4-foot diameter around it. And as you go, you find your roots running out away from the stump. And once you find one, you need to get in line with it and scrape down it with the teeth. And that's a better way to break it than trying to get under it and ripping up, because a tractor like mine just doesn't have the lift power to break a root that way. These next couple of stumps might be a better representation of how easy it's going to be to pull out your average small sapling. I'm going to let this full stump removal play in real time, and you'll see it took less than 2 minutes to get it popped out. This one also only took 2 minutes, so I'm playing it at double speed, just showing how easy it is to get these stumps out that have a smaller root system. This last stump is more like the first one, and I had to pick at it for a while. This was also more challenging than the other ones because it was completely surrounded by large rocks. I mentioned earlier that this stump bucket can be considered a cheap alternative to a backhoe. It's also kind of a cheap alternative to a stump grinder. I've got a stump grinder and a backhoe, and I could have brought either of those over here to deal with these stumps. But I like to show different ways to do the same thing.
When you factor in that my backhoe cost $9,000 and my stump grinder was almost $6,000, it really makes this stump bucket kind of a more attractive option, considering it only cost $400 for the regular stump bucket or $600 for this extra long version. That's if you already have the Artillian frame. If you don't have the Artillian frame, that's another $800. But that frame can be used for so many different things, I don't really think of it as part of the cost of the stump bucket. I dug out 4 stumps and a whole bunch of big rocks and ground across one rock that I couldn't get out or decided it wasn't worth it to remove. And at the end of the day, the cutting teeth on the front of the stump bucket look perfect. So, pretty durable.
Where these stumps happen to be sitting is at a big slope this way and this way. So I'm really having to be careful about my approach, especially if my wheels drop into one of the holes I've already made. It could be a bad situation. But I feel like I need to come in from this angle now. I've been working from this direction and from that direction. I think I need to come in from the side now. I was really happy with the way that came out. I'm gonna have to bring a load of dirt to cover over this because you always take out more than you can put back. There's some huge rocks in there we didn't want to put back, so it needs a little bit of work. But in terms of the stump bucket, I thought it did a great job. If there was any limitation to it at all, it was the strength of the loader on the tractor. But I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. I'm gonna put more of our videos over here, and I'll see you next time.